On the other side of the aisle, we're now joined by Democratic Congressman from Massachusetts and member of the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, Jake Auchincloss. He's also on the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, thank you for being here. A lot of news to get to. Let's start where Aisha and Congressman Keller just left off with this affidavit. Obviously, we need a lot more information, but we have seen some of what's in this affidavit. What is your reaction? And based on what you were able to see so far, do you believe that former President Trump should be indicted for a crime?
The Department of Justice is pursuing a neutral and independent investigation that is meant to protect national security. It's not political, and it's just amazing to hear the pretzels that my GOP colleagues will twist themselves into over and over again defending this president. The Department of Justice had probable cause vetted by a judge that Donald Trump was obstructing justice and in violation of the espionage clause. This is about our national security. This is about our rules as a country. It's just one thing after another with this president. It's espionage. It's obstruction of justice. It's vote tampering in Georgia. It's the Trump Organization in New York. It's January 6th. He needs to just go away and let America move forward.
Well, you say go away, but yet it would obviously be not going away if Merrick Garland did indict him. Based on what you see so far, do you believe that rises to the level of an indictment of a former president, which the country's never done?
Merrick Garland is tasked with enforcing the law irrespective of a person's status. One of the things about this country that makes us exceptional is that we pursue equal justice under the law. Whether you're a new arrival to this land or whether you're a former president, we meter out justice without regard to your profile. And Merrick Garland is going to do that. That's not political. That's legal.
Congressman, several of your Democratic colleagues on the subject of this student debt forgiveness plan from the president, several Democrats say that they don't support this forgiveness plan. Where do you stand?
Democrats have a big tent. We're having a disagreement about how to lower costs for families, with which we're all united in agreeing that that's the priority. I would have taken a different approach here. I think with similar amounts of money, you could have expanded Pell Grants. You could relieve medical debt for households throughout the United States. This would be more fair, and this would be more proactive in looking at how we grow the economy and how we make college more affordable going forward.
And also, as you heard in our reporting, we're also a lot of attention being given to this interview that Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg did with Joe Rogan, as Facebook has said, and parent company Meta, that this is nothing new. Concerns that what is new is that Zuckerberg suppressed the Hunter Biden story at the behest, essentially, of the FBI. I wanted to get your reaction and your thoughts on whether it's worth bringing Zuckerberg back to the Hill for hearings.
Well, the 2016 election was such a debacle with Russian disinformation that the FBI and clearly Facebook were on guard in 2020. And to me, the deeper question is, why were the Russians so committed in 2 straight elections to getting Donald Trump elected president? What was in it for them? About bringing social media companies to Congress? Absolutely. My questions to them, though, would be much more focused on children's mental health, on what they're doing to monetize the attention spans of kids from the ages of 8 all the way to 18, and how we can protect our kids' mental health against abuses by social media.
Well, that would certainly be a hearing. As a parent of a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old, it is certainly worthy of diving into. And hopefully, if we do get Zuckerberg back on the Hill, we can ask him an array of things. Jake, I want to take a moment, though, because our viewers may not know that you served in Afghanistan yesterday, the 1-year anniversary of the tragedy at Abbey Gate, where we lost 13 U.S. service members. You are a current major in the Marine Reserves, and here we have shots of you in your service. We thank you for your service to this country. I want to get your thoughts a year later, and your thoughts on how we are positioned with respect to Afghanistan now.
1 year after the withdrawal, the United States is in a stronger position than it was in 2021. We have freed up resources and bandwidth to focus on the threats from Russia and China. But Afghanistan is struggling. The United States is the largest humanitarian donor in the world to Afghanistan. That needs to sustain. But we also need to put Afghanistan on a path of self-sufficiency. And I think Western mining could do what Western militaries never could, and that is to enable Afghans to lead their own economic and social development. Afghanistan is home to world significant loads of copper, iron, lapis lazuli, rare earth elements. These are critical for electronics and clean energy supply chains. China is eyeing them right now. The United States and our allies should be working with the Afghan people directly and with multilateral development institutions to support mining in Afghanistan as a bootstrapping mechanism for self-sufficiency and for promoting civil development.
And just in the last 40 seconds or so we've got, I want to direct your attention to the midterms. All the members of Congress, senators out on the campaign trail, touting, obviously, on the Democrat side, the legislative accomplishments and, of course, inflation causing a problem for many members of the House now, with gas prices at least starting to come down. But all of a sudden, President Biden seems to have drawn attention, speaking to a DNC meeting, comparing Trump supporters to, quote, semi-fascists. Do you agree with Trump supporters, the president saying that Trump supporters should be compared to semi-fascists?
I think we're seeing GOP candidates like Blake Masters making statements that are directly tied to white supremacy and authoritarianism. But this is not going to be an election that's a referendum on Joe Biden. This is an election that's a choice. It's a choice between Democrats that are focused on lowering prices, that took the biggest, boldest climate action in history, that passed a once-in-a-generation infrastructure bill, that lowered health care costs without a single Republican vote, and a Republican Party that is obsessed with winding back the clock 60 years to a time when women didn't have access to basic reproductive freedoms.
Well, we saw that special election in New York where the Democrat won, running on the abortion issue. I appreciate you coming on, Jake. So many topics, although I do want to press you one last time. So you are saying that you're okay with President Biden comparing Trump supporters to semi-fascists, because it's drawing that comparison back to when Hillary Clinton talked about the basket of deplorables, which brought so much negative attention on her campaign.
This isn't about President Biden's words. This is about the words that GOP candidates themselves are using. I would point to you to candidates in Pennsylvania, in Arizona, in Georgia. The words that they are using are not words that the world's greatest democracy should be using as we talk to our citizens and to each other.
Congressman Jake Auchincloss, and Major in the Marine Reserves, thank you very much for your service, and thanks for coming on today. All right, thanks.